I'm Sujantra McKeever,
And I'm Shalil Wilson.
and we're going to take some time here today and explore with you the topic of meditation. For our guide, we're going to use the meditation book by Sri Chinmoy, who is the teacher with whom Shalil and I both have studied for many, many years. When did you start meditating, Shalil?
I actually began meditating in 1984. I went to a concert of Sri Chinmoy's in Melbourne, Australia, and I had such a deep and profound experience. I said, I have got to understand and learn what this is all about.
And what brought you to want to learn meditation?
I was doing all the things which society and my parents and my peers said would make me happy, and they weren't making me happy. In fact, they were making me miserable. So I said, people don't know how to get happiness. I've got to find out. And so I went to this concert and I found this deep, profound sense of peace, of happiness, of love inside myself through the music of Sri Chinmoy. And I said, okay, let's find out more about this.
I remember in childhood being really, really happy as a kid, carefree, and life seemed very expansive. And then around 12 or 13, I started becoming much more aware of my thoughts and all the things going on inside my head. And I started looking to meditation and exploring it just as a way to try to calm down my mind and get back to that essence within myself. And for myself, at about age 18, I had read a number of meditation books, probably about 15 or 20 different books. I grew up in San Francisco, and so there's a lot of exposure to the Eastern philosophy. And also the practice of sports was giving me some peace, learning breath control, exploring that. And I was raised Catholic, and I actually enjoyed going to Mass. I liked the experience of the prayers, the singing. I found that when I went into that environment, I did find a lot of peace and calmness. And so by about age 18, I was looking for a spiritual teacher.
Did you ever consider going into the seminary?
Going into the seminary. Well, I went to a Jesuit high school, and so I was exposed to a lot of the brothers who had committed their lives to the Catholic Church and the teachings of Jesus, and I really liked them. I found them like really soulful, prayerful guys. And in order to become a Jesuit priest, one of the last things you do is you go through 40 days of silence. So reminiscent of Jesus going to the desert for 40 days and 40 nights. And the first learning of meditation I did was a class I took in high school by one of the brothers. But for myself, no, I was never drawn to that. I was much more drawn to Eastern philosophy and India and all the yoga and all that mystique of that dimension. How about you?
Well, I never considered becoming a Catholic priest, but I wasn't at all even considering the possibility of a spiritual master. I had sort of taken on board the idea of reincarnation and the soul's journey, but I thought that
you were thinking about reincarnation.
Yeah, I kind of accepted that as a truth, but I thought this incarnation just let me party. I was 19, and then I had this quite profound experience one night out with all my friends at a bar. Profound experience. And in Australia, there's this custom to everyone takes in turns to buy drinks. And so it was my turn, and I'm coming back to the booth where everybody is sitting, and they're all like having fun. And literally, this is God honest truth, literally in the movies, everything just stopped. It was like freeze frame, but I was still conscious and looking around, and everyone's like, in these various positions. And I just saw it, and I said, if I continue doing this, I'm just going to become the life that my parents led. And I have a responsibility to do more than that. I have a responsibility to offer more to myself and to the community. So after that thought, sort of that revelation, everything sped up and went back to normal speed, and I went back to the table and continued, and in some sense kind of consciously forgot about that. But then within 6 months, I was, I'd been to the concert with Sri Chinmoy, and I was really sort of, in a sense, on a spiritual path.
I had the same experience when I left for college, before I ever heard of Sri Chinmoy, but when I was looking for a teacher. When I went to college, I left San Francisco, where my family was, went down to San Diego, and had the really strong feeling that, okay, now this is my life. Because up to that moment, I had, followed along. You go to grammar school, you go to high school, you're following the patterns that your parents and society lay out. But when I went off to college, I really had the feeling of, okay, this is my life, and I have to figure out what's most important for me. And that was, and meditation and sports and exercise and focusing on my breath all became ways for me to try to discover that.
So then how did you first come in contact with Sri Chinmoy?
I went to, when I was in San Francisco, I had been to a number of meditation programs. I'd done some TM meditation. I'd been to a Zen meditation. Of course, I mentioned the Catholic Church experience, the prayer and the silence, the high school class. And so I started going to different workshops, actually looking for a teacher. So I came across the writings of Paramahansa Yogananda, who was a great spiritual teacher, lived in California. He passed away, I think, in 1949 or 1950. And I'd found one of his books and felt like I was learning meditation from his picture. So he was able to go into deep states of meditation. And just from the picture, I felt I was learning, reading his book, looking at the picture. And so I started looking around for a teacher for myself, because as much as I was getting from the picture in the book, I didn't feel like this is my teacher. So I was went to some meditation classes offered by a student of Sri Chinmoy's, went into the class, and had a profound experience in the meditations. So I was in San Diego, Sri Chinmoy was in New York. But still, there was a unique energy in that room, in that class, and the experience I had during the class and what resonated with me for a number of days after made me feel like, okay, this is something that I can, my heart feels open to this. And so I've been able to, after a few years of meditation, I ended up being able to travel around the world offering meditation on behalf of the Sri Chinmoy Center, free classes around the world.